Hello, all my merrymakers, and welcome to Start Stitchin' Saturday, my bi-weekly tutorial series based on basic stitching to help you get started stitching. Recently, we started a series on toe-up socks. Used worsted weight yarn. The first video we talked about gauge and how to figure out how many stitches you needed and what size needles you might want to use. Now we are going to actually start making the sock. Today I am going to focus on casting on. That's it. I'm trying to go slow in this series because, again, this is supposed to be more of a beginner-based series. I'm going to repeat a couple of, these steps I'm going to repeat a couple of times so that, you don't have to rewind if you don't have to. So first off, I have 2 sets of fixed cable needles. These are my size 7, aka 5mm needles. They are identical. Now, some people, when they're doing 2 needles at a time, they like to do 2 socks at a time. I'm not going to be teaching that in this tutorial. I'm going to be focusing on 1 sock at a time. However, you can use this tutorial to do 2 socks at a time. Especially if you're one of those people who likes to do 2 socks at a time so that you can avoid single sock syndrome. So in our previous series, we said we were going to have a total of 32 stitches, which meant when we do this cast on, we need 8 stitches per a needle. So the way I like to gauge that, how much yarn I need to do my cast on, is I like to take both my needles stacked like this, and I like to wrap the yarn as many times as I'm going to cast on, which in this case is 8. Now, usually I also like to do 1 to 2 more just to make sure I have plenty of yarn. I am one of those people that I would rather have more yarn and have to weave in ends than have less yarn and have to start over. So now I've got a yarn with quite a long tail, and then this is my working yarn, and I've got that stretched out in between my pointer finger and my left finger, or sorry, my pointer finger and my thumb on my left hand. And it would be better if these were colored differently. So this is what I'm going to do. Normally you wouldn't cast on with a needle stopper on your needle, but this is to help you distinguish the top from the bottom while watching this tutorial. So I go on over the top needle first, and then I just twist my yarn. Nothing difficult, just the yarn that's on top goes to the bottom, and the yarn that's on bottom goes to the top. Makes for just a yarn that can move, okay? Then the yarn that's on top goes to the bottom needle. Now we have a loop on each needle. And the yarn on the bottom goes to the top needle. Again, optimally you would be doing this without a needle stopper. That is there so you can distinguish my top needle from my bottom needle. So now I've put 2 loops on my top needle and 1 loop on my bottom needle. And now the top thread, I loop it down and over, and now I've got 2. Once you've got your rhythm, this can go a whole lot faster, which is good because, again, if you're using fingering weight yarn and you're making adult size socks, you're probably casting on somewhere close to 16 to 20 stitches on each needle. All right, so again, I've got 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I'm referring to this as my top yarn because it's above both my needles, and this is my bottom yarn. Top yarn comes down, around, and in between the needles. Now I have 3 on each. Bottom yarn, I'm twisting my hand, going over the needle, going in between the needles. Now I have 4. And yes, again, I'm going really slow so that people can follow along. This is a beginner series. Please don't get mad at me. Top yarn goes down, around, 4 on each. Five on each. Bottom comes up, goes top, top goes down, comes around. So I know this as Judy's Magic Cast On. I've heard other people call it the Magic 8 Cast On because you're basically, if you look down, it looks like an 8. All right, and we're supposed to have 8 on each one. So 3, 6, 7, 3, 6, 7. All right, so one more. Around the top. Top one comes down, around, over. Now, that's not bad. That's not bad at all for that amount. Now, there are different ways you can deal with this yarn. You have notions that can hold it. Some people try to weave it in when we go to the next step of securing these stitches. If you feel really uneasy about it, just ignore it. Now, to secure these stitches, you have to remember which one's your working yarn and which one is your tail. So, I put my tail all, again, if I had my notion with me. And we are going to knit through the back loop. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. I like to turn my needles so that I can see the top of the back part of my loop. It's a little easier that way. And I'm just doing a regular knit right now. Nothing special, just knitting. And I'm going slow. Again, number one, I don't want to lose that first stitch because it's the most insecure stitch. Actually kind of liking having my needle stopper here because that means that this is not going to fall off my other needle while I'm working. Again, I like to turn my work, go through the top. Like if you make this go the normal people way, I'm just going through the back loop. So if twisting your work makes you nervous, you're just knitting through the back loop. And again, that just helps secure these stitches a little bit better than knitting through the front loop would. And this is the only time that you do this. All right. if you need to go slow too, so that you can make sure that you're not grabbing more than one stitch at a time, because we're just knitting each stitch. We're knitting in the back loop, but we're just knitting each stitch. And look, oops, I almost lost a stitch. So again, it's okay if you need to go slow. It's okay if, and if you do drop one, don't panic. Try not to panic. But you can always, if you feel uncomfortable, you can always pull it out and start back over. I'm gonna try not to do that. I'm gonna try to show you how to save it. Lost my end of the row needle stopper. That's not the end of the world there. All right. Whew, saved it. All right. And these are pretty tight, which is why I'm kind of struggling here. I'm also looking through the lens of the camera at the same time, so it's a bit disoriented. And this last stitch does not want to do what it needs to do. I will get you, my pretty, and your little dog too. It might not be pretty, but I will get it. All right, you. There we go. And like I said, no increasing, no decreasing. So we should still have 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, remember, I've got 2 sets of needles here. So I'm moving this free and clear so that I can flip this needle and pull it through, because now my working yarn's way over here. So I'm gonna pull this needle through. This becomes the needle I'm knitting with, and as I pull it through, the other end becomes the needle that I'm knitting off of. And now we're still knitting through the back loop. And again, I prefer to go, again, take your time. Something just dropped, I'm gonna ignore it. Knit through the back loop. This is a little bit easier because I don't have the bulk of the other needle there. So if you want to pull it so that the cable is in between and you have a little bit more wiggle room when you're knitting off that first needle, go for it. Do what works for you. There is no wrong way to knit. And if you make a mistake, you can either pull it out and retry or move on. There you go, guys. It doesn't look like much, but that is the start of our toe up sock. Again, watch this as many times as you can so that you can start stitching. Please like and subscribe if you can. See you next time.